Hi everybody, what's going on with the great? That's absolutely fantastic. Dave, I've looked together with the sun. It's not a fantastic. I want to start by talking a little bit about aviation. I promised that I was going to release. All right, guys, can you see me now? Can you hear me now? Anyone? If you see anything or you can hear anything, then please just let me know. I'm struggling with the internet connection, as always, down here in Spain, unfortunately. Right. Guys, can you see or hear anything? Just let me know in that case. Hi guys. As always, hear anything of what? But okay. Guys, no one still. Hi guys, anyone here still? If you can hear or see anything, then let me know. Hey, Donny, excellent. So at least one of you guys can see me. Just let me know, guys. Can you hear or see me now? Because I'm struggling with my internet connection and it's really poor. So we'll keep this going until it shuts down again, and if it does so, I'm just gonna try another day. All right, guys. All right. Before we go, I just want to start this off by telling you guys that the Mentour Aviation app, which I promised to release tomorrow, has had some minor issues with the Android version. The iOS version, the Apple version, is up, and I just need to press the button to let it go. However, the Android version has just a little bit more work to it, so I might have to wait a little bit, maybe towards the end of the weekend or the beginning of next week for the release. But believe me, I will let you guys know. Right. Another thing is I will draw a winner today on the headset competition, so stay tuned. But are we still having issues? Right, guys, let me know. So it seems like we're still having some issues, right? All right. Hey, before we go, Sammy, I got a question from Sammy about why we set 100 plus on our altitude after landing. This is a standard operating procedures that some airlines have. In our case, we do have it. That is just to remind us that that we don't have a cleared altitude. So after landing, we put 100 plus on whatever altitude we have in to make it conspicuous, just to remind us that there's no cleared altitude. And when we receive the ATC clearance, then we will set it to the actual figure that we are going to climb to in our next departure. So that's why it's plus 100 on the MCP. Well spotted though. Right, Vlad, Emilin, hello. I'm studying in Russian Flight University, and Russian license valid in Europe, especially in Ryanair. When it comes to that, I actually think that you're going to have to check with the Irish aviation authorities. I don't think, I'm not sure now. I don't think that Russian licenses is validated under EASA, but you're going to have to contact the Irish aviation authorities to check how to get your license validated in under the EASA rules. So do that. Dano Markov, what do you think about Ryan's ideas of an aircraft flown only by one pilot? Well, I think that's a publicity stunt, and I think that is a very successful publicity stunt, because anytime that Ryanair goes out and says something like that, they normally get an enormous amount of press, and that covers it, and it spreads the brand all over the world normally. So for now, there are no airliners that are equipped for only single pilot flight, and you would have to change the complete set of the complete rules. ICAO rules in order for you to fly a commercial airline with only one pilot. So I don't see that in the very near future. Jake Wolstenholme, how can I pay for flight training? Well, this is always a big problem. You will have to either save up the money, or you will have to find a loan somewhere, or you might be able to do it via the modular route, which means that you get a job and you work, and meanwhile when you get your salary you fly a little bit. It will take a little bit longer, but it means that you will end up with less of a mortgage when you're done. But there are several ways. There are also some state-funded universities and things like that, like in Sweden, in France, and I believe in Finland, and I think Norway is starting with that as well. So check that out. See if your country might have some kind of government-sponsored program, and that would be a fantastic way. That's how I became a pilot. Yeah, I know that I'm a little bit orange today. Is because I'm just down from the ski slopes, and me being red-headed, and the sun here in Spain doesn't mix very well, hence my red appearance at the moment. Lewis Logan, if I get a private pilot license, will that help towards a commercial license? Yeah, I mean, if you're doing it a modular way, you're going to have to start with the private pilot license. Then you're going to have to do hour building, and then you'll go building on your PPL towards your CPL. Some of the integrated courses skips the PPL stage and just goes straight for CPL, but most of them always go through the PPL stage. Donny Markov again, what are the hardest tackles during the PPL training? Well, I mean, the PPL is not very advanced, as in it's still quite tough. It's a lot of theory and a lot of it's the first time that you actually get your hands on the stick and rudders and so on. So normally just getting your understanding of the aircraft and the maneuvers and how to maneuver the aircraft is the biggest challenge. But the PPL is something that almost anyone can do with enough training. So I would suggest that you just enjoy it as much as possible, because it's fantastically funny to do. But I don't think that there's going to be any big hurdles for you. It could be the theoretical examination, if any. Celeb Wilson. So hi Mentor, I'm thinking about becoming a ski plane pilot here in New Zealand. Would this be a good stepping stone before going to an airline? Sure. Any kind of different experience that you can get is going to be a fantastic life experience. I'm sure that you're going to love it when you do it, providing that you fly safe, to make sure that you're safe. But then you will, all of the hours that you manage to get will count towards your commercial licenses and towards getting that airline job. So sure, absolutely, I would have loved to do some bush flying and stuff myself if I had the chance. Jimbo, do you see airlines paying for and bonding potential cadets in the near future? Yes, I do. I think right now the airline business is doing very well. A lot of airlines hiring, which means that we are starting to see, even though I know that's been a myth for many, many years, that it's a big pilot shortage coming. Right now, we are actually seeing a little bit of a shortage, even in Europe, which basically what I think is going to happen is I think that the airlines more and more are going to start to pay some of the training, probably not all of the training, but some of the training for their pilots, by bonding them for maybe 5 years or so. And by doing that, if you can keep a pilot in an airline for about 5 years, it means that it's more likely that that pilot will go from first officer to captain. And when you have become captain, it's going to be much harder for you to change airline, because you don't want to switch over from the left to the right seat. So it will be a way to keep the first officers there and then let them become captains and probably keep them all together. So I do see, and I do believe personally, that we'll see more and more of these schemes coming in the future. More stuff then. Alright, so guys are talking in between each other, which is great. Which is better? There's so many questions now that they're starting to. What is true? Is it true that airlines doesn't like pilots with too much experience in general aviation? I cannot speak for every airline. I think normally that is not the case. It's probably a myth. As long as you have the skills, what tends to happen and what can happen if you fly a lot of general aviation and you do not keep up to date with like your MCC course, for example, is that when you come for an airline interview and you come for a simulator assessment, you might not be as kind of sharp when it comes to dual pilot operation, CRM, keeping to checklists, discipline, things like that. So if you have a lot, as in a lot of general aviation, that can be a downside, providing that you don't keep yourself, up to date. If you do keep yourself up to date and you stay sharp, then I don't think that that's going to be a problem whatsoever. So, Arifur Raham, how medically fit do you have to be to become a commercial pilot? Basically, as a commercial pilot, you just need normal fitness, right? You don't need to be Superman. It's not like when you do your exams for becoming a fighter pilot, for example. No, you need to have good normal physics. You need to be healthy. When it comes to the specifics, to your class 1 medicals and stuff like that, that is better to ask a aeronautical medical examiner, an AME. So if you have issues, for example, with your eyesight, things like that, then you should go and talk to them, because they will give you exactly the answers that you want. Max Beffa, hi Mentor. I wonder if it's a good idea to maybe work as a steward for a year and then start my training. Yeah, right. This definitely you have to check with the airline you're going into. Some airlines think that it's a fantastic thing that you've been in the cabin and you then have a much deeper and better understanding of everything that goes on. But some airlines might actually check you a little bit harder because you've been an employee already. So if you've been an employee already, they will have all of your working records. And if if it's an airline that is very, very interested, for example, in sales figures or, how well you've been doing as a salesperson within the airline, they might be looking at your sales figures. And that might actually be a minus when you apply. So depending on which airline you're going to, I would investigate a little bit first. But me personally, I think it's an absolutely brilliant way of getting some understanding about what's going on inside of an aircraft. If I would have done that, I would have had much more understanding about what the guys and the girls are doing in the back. Now I can read what the procedures are and everything, but I have never actually done it myself. It's always a good thing to have that kind of live experience. Dylan McIlhatton, what is a nautical mile? It's 1,852 meters. So, Jeet, Dave, what aircraft have you flown so far in your pilot career? I have flown the Cessna 152, the Cessna 172, the Cessna 182, Cessna 182 retractable gear, the Cessna 340, which is the turbocharged twin-engine aircraft, and the 737-800 and the Piper 28 Archer. Those are the types that I've flown so far, that I've actually been trained on. More questions. Great, guys. It's fantastic to see how you are interacting and how much you're asking here. Have you flown to Tenerife? I actually haven't flown to Tenerife. It's one of the few airports in the network that I haven't flown to. I would love to, because it's supposed to be a fairly challenging approach. I'd love to see it. Right, so fly me some. Hey man, I have a unusual question. Shoot, I will be happy to try to answer it. I'm not sure I will be able to, but I will give my best. Um, right, I'm waiting for your question there. Fly me some. I'm really curious now to see what your unusual question is. I'll take one in between. Ivan Temsky, can a pilot be colorblind? No, completely colorblind you cannot be. Okay, there used to be impossible to be colorblind in any form. Okay, but now I think they have laxed that a little bit. There are a couple of different tests that you need to go through, and you need to have fairly good color vision. But once again, I'm not sure exactly where the limit goes. So here you're going to have to contact an aeronautical medical examiner to know exactly if you can do it or not with color blindness. So more here. Let's see. Luke Pickerton. Would you say that someone should apply for an integrated program, or would it be easy to become a pilot in a more traditional and older way? An integrated program is a fairly traditional and old way to do it. I guess that you're referring to the modular programs, and here there's no like the integrated program is more expensive. The modular program can be less expensive, but you have to do a lot more work yourself. There's going to be a lot more home study, and it will take longer time. There's also, when you do go through the integrated programs, the flight schools, especially the bigger flight schools, tend to have a bit of connections with the airlines. And since they do that, they might be able to score you an interview easier. But however, if we're talking a difference between maybe 50,000 euros and 120,000 euros, it's 70,000 euros of a difference potentially. So for those 70,000 euros, you can do a lot of training and a lot of applications. So I'm not going to say that one is better than the other, but if you do it the modular way, you are going to have to be much more careful when you're looking into schools. Make sure that you are willing to do a lot of the work yourself, but it will save you money in most cases. Right, let's see. I'm still looking for Flying Man's question there, and doesn't seem to have popped up, so we'll continue. Hey Mentor, how often do airlines do tankering? I guess you've been seeing the latest video from Captain Joe. If you're looking, very good video, I have to say, really really nice. Kudos. We do tankering maybe on say about 10% of the flights, something like that. In most cases, the fuel prices doesn't vary that much. So just like Captain Joe was saying in his video, in most of the cases, it will actually cost more to carry fuel around than it will cost to tanker it in your destination. So there will be only to specific destinations where the fuel is very expensive that we will do doing tankering. I hope that answers your question. So, Amin Mesud, how much would it cost to convert from the Canadian license to an EASA, and what do you think about Canadian schools? I have no input on Canadian schools. I would love to come and visit. Basically, if you're a flight school out there and you want me to come and visit your flight school and do some podcasts or some stream from it, then contact me, because I want to get over, especially to the US and to Canada, and also to Australia and maybe even India. I would like to go to these places and actually do some investigative kind of reporting from there and look at flight schools, talk to students, because I don't really know that much about them. But I know that there's a lot of you guys from out there that are watching my channels. I would like to give that to you. When it comes to the costs, that varies big. There's a huge difference between different schools. What I would like you to do is contact one of the big schools in the UK, for example, or in Sweden. I went to visit Scandinavian Aviation Academy, and they do conversions. So you can check that out as well. Contact one of them. Just write them an email and tell them what kind of license you have, what your experiences is, and they will tell you what you need to do and approximately how much it costs. So it will vary. So contact a few schools. Sub-Zero, hi. Right. So Scott Young, is doing an engineering course at university going to help me to become a pilot? It will help you in the sense that you will have better technical knowledge, and knowledge in general is always good. However, I don't think that it will actually help you to get a job, because the airlines will be asking if you have all the licenses, and if you have all the licenses and you have the specified hours and stuff, then maybe it could be a plus. But I don't think that it's going to be a huge plus. Okay, but I do think that for your own benefit and from a professional point of view later on, it's going to give you much better technical situational awareness, which is always good. Donny Markov, is it true that low-cost airlines like Wizz and Ryanair hire pilots without aviation university diploma? Yeah, like if you're referring to a university degree, that is true. They only need you to have valid, good licenses with good pass grades and so on. They will be checking in on that on your application, but you will not need a university degree yet. This always changes. It's depending on how much people the airlines needs. If they need few people, then they're going to increase the requirements. If they need a lot of people, they're going to decrease the requirements. And this is always true. Okay. Right. Hello, Mentor. Any advice on dyslexic or slower academic learning students? If a student goes to integrated ATPL, will they fall behind, or will the school help them to throw a slower pace? Basically, they will not throw a slower pace, okay? Because if schools are interested in earning money, they will have a group that goes together throughout all of the different phases of your training, and they will not allow anyone to fall behind or kind of slow the pace down. They will do what they can to give you support, but they will not slow the pace down. So this, depending on how bad your dyslexia is, if you can, kind of concentrate yourself and by working really, really hard, still keep the pace, then you will be able to do it. If that's going to be harder, then you would probably need to do it in a modular way instead, where you can kind of vary your own course and do it at your own pace. So that would probably be the best way of doing it. However, I would really suggest that you go and you do a suitability test, a pilot aptitude test before you start your training, because you are going to need to reach certain requirements in order to get a job after your training. And if your dyslexia or those problems are bad enough so that you don't pass those exams, then there's no point, because you will just spend all of that money and the airlines will not hire you. So make sure that you do an aptitude test in any case before you start your training. JJ, how long does programming the FMC take? Well, you are going to like the new app, I can tell you that. I'm going to, as part of the briefing videos for the new application, there will be a briefing video on how to do a full FMC setup from start to finish. Obviously, that will take a little bit longer than we'll do in real life, because it's going to be explained. But setting up the FMC for a trained pilot takes probably around 5 minutes to do. Let's see. I saw someone asking something about Brexit here, which made me really, really curious. James Hussey. Hi, Mentor. My Romanian instructor found out that I voted for Brexit, and since my last lesson has broken almost all my flight equipment. And what? He's broken your flight equipment? All right, that doesn't sound good. All right. First of all, it's kind of a golden rule to not discuss politics as part of your flight training or when you're working in the cockpit for these specific examples, because people get very agitated. We don't speak about politics or religion, because when you start getting into those conversations, you can get very, very bad responses from people who are very, very initiated or very interested in those subjects. When it comes to that, if he's actually destroying your flight equipment, you need to talk to your to the school manager, to the head of training in your school, and tell them that that's going on, because obviously, that's destruction of property and it's not right. Are you sure? Just make sure that that's actually him, because it sounds very, very strange. Tom, hey, hello, Mentor. Do you, the pilot of the airline, pick which plane in the fleet to fly? like an Airbus or Boeing, it's going to be the airline. Okay, the airline would put you on a type that you need. Basically, your job as a pilot is to fly whatever aircraft that that your airline deems you needed to fly. Okay, so if that's an Airbus or if that's a Boeing, that is what you are going to fly. Now, there are cases where you come into an airline where you might have a say, as in they might ask you if you have any particular interest, if they need in many different types, and then they might listen to you. But in most cases, you would just be put on a fleet and you would stay there. Okay. Then you might be able to change the fleet later on when you build a little bit of experience and so on. The only difference from that is if you come in with previous experience from a previous type. In that case, you're very likely to stay in the same type or a similar type to the one you've flown. Jake, Washington, Mentor, have you ever been to Manchester? Yeah, I've flown to Manchester a lot of times. Dan, Christian, hey man, good to see you here. Thank you. So you're enjoying the live videos. I hope you're all enjoying the live videos, because I really enjoy doing these things. There's always new and interesting questions that's coming up that has me thinking a bit. So good to see you. Mohammed Surje, kan man gå på teknikprogram i gymnasiet om man vill bli pilot? Ja. Sorry, I'm going to switch over to Swedish because it's a Swedish question. Ja, om det är en naturvetenskaplig tekniklinje så är det så. Normalt sett så måste du gå antingen samhälls- eller natur. Det kan finnas undantag från det, men det brukar vara bra att gå antingen samhälls- eller natur. Mentor pilot, is your opinion that Lufthansa flight school is good or better to go to other in my region? I don't know them, which means I'm not going to say if I think that they're good or not. I think if I'm going to give a guess, I think that the Lufthansa flight school is probably a quite good flight school, but I have no personal experience, so I can't really talk about that, to be perfectly honest. Right, more questions. Good to see you. So many of you here. Sorry about the beginning. I have problems with my internet, and it happens all the time down here in Spain. So I'm just happy that I'm here now. More questions. Craft play games. Did you ever go to Poland? Yeah, I fly to Poland during the summer. I fly to Poland at least once a week. More. So, hi. Would you recommend the best university? I'm missing you guys here because it's so many questions that's coming. Let's see. Jake Sharp, do you think pilots will be taken over by computers, putting pilots out of business? If you're looking into the far future, it's likely that that's going to happen to a large extent. If you're looking into the shorter future, as in the next 30 years or so, I don't see that happening. And it's both because of technical challenges of actually making aircraft that are not only able to fly, but safe and continuously safe to fly without humans being involved. But then on top of that, you have the regulatory problems, which is much, much bigger. Basically, it'll take 10 years just to change the rules slightly. And in the case of changing the rules from having pilots on board to non-pilots on board, I think that there are huge regulatory problems ahead. So for my career, and probably all of you who are looking your career, I don't think it's going to be a problem. However, in the far future, yeah, I think that most of these things that humans are doing today is probably going to be done better by artificial intelligence at some point. Guys, can you hear me okay? Or is there any problem with audio? I see that there's loads of audio comments here. Max Beffa, what will a lesson cost in your new app? Right, that's a good question. Right, the way I'm going to do that, okay, is that I am going to divide up the lessons into several videos. Now, the individual videos will be less than $1 each, but I will make the playlists more cheap. So if you buy the whole playlist, it's going to be cheaper than buying the individual videos. And then on top of that, I'm going to do specific YouTube-based briefing videos. Some of them are going to be only for the app, so you will not be able to see it on the channel. You'll have to have the app to see them, but the app is free, so it doesn't really matter. I just want as many as possible to get into the app and using it, Even if you don't buy anything, I just want you there because it means that you can be in the chat room, which is going to be there. And it also means that I can send you messages. So I can send you, like, for example, I'm going to do a live stream, guys. So switch on your YouTube channel. There's loads of things like that. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a community. I want in the future, when I keep building on this application, I want to be able to get people together and talk. I want to have people who are interested in aviation being able to, find out that if you're on an airport and there's another one that's also on an airport, that you guys can connect and have a cup of coffee and talk about things. That's what I'm trying to achieve. So even if you don't buy anything, you will still get stuff inside of this application. However, I am hoping that you guys will want some of the training courses that I'm doing. I'm doing that for that reason, so that I can keep building on it. Because the more successful that will be, the more awesome stuff I will be able to do inside of it. Develop whatever you guys think. And there's also another thing that's really important. I want your feedback. I want you to say, I want more of this, or I want to see more of that, or whatever, so that I know how to make it better. Guys, before I lose my internet connection here, I want to pull a winner of this headset. I have a winner from the Mentour 360 competition. I'll be doing probably a few more of those as well before I release the not before I release the new app, but the Mentour 360 app will still be there beside my Mentour Aviation app. And from the competition, remember that I did a question on the YouTube channel about 3 weeks ago. There was about 20 correct answers. And out of those 20 correct answers, I will now pull one that is going to receive one of these headsets, which are going to be really, really useful for the new app, by the way. And you'll be able to, even if you don't have one of these headsets, you'll still be able to see all of the lessons, even if you have an iPad or if you have your iPhone or whatever. So let's see who the lucky winner is, shall we? Richard Nash. Richard Nash, congratulations. You have won the headset. So please, I have your email address here. So I will send you an email congratulating you. I'll also contact you so we can have a little bit of a hangout, talk a little bit, and then I will send out one of these headsets to you. So congratulations, Richard Nash. I'll send one of these to you. Right, cool. So, more questions, guys, because I am still not done. Let's see, how many over here? 110 of us watching at the moment. Let's see. Armando, how did you start? I guess you mean how did I start my training? I'm going to do a complete what I did was not a good quality. So I'm going to do a whole new set of videos of how I became a pilot and go through how I started, what kept me going, what drives I had, what problems I had, because I had a few problems as well during my training. But I'll do that soon. Dylan McIlhatton, how do they assess you in becoming a captain? And that's a fairly long process, okay? It starts from basically from when you start as a first officer. You are continuously evaluated on your line checks and your operational proficiency check and your license proficiency checks. So throughout your career as a first officer, you are being evaluated for your suitability as a captain. And then when you reach the amount of hours needed to be a captain, which is a minimum of 3,000 hours in most airlines, then you will start to go into the actual upgrade process. Depending on your airline, you might have had a preparational program before that, which includes tests and certain things that you need to read, certain manuals that you need to read in a certain order. But anyway, when you are invited into the command upgrade program, it's expected that you would have prepared. Okay, so you would have read up on all of the things that you need, and then you will normally go through a series of interviews and possibly some simulator tests as well, and then go into the actual command program, which is normally some ground school where you learn about commander's responsibilities. You learn to, you have to do a technical exam again, normally an SOP exam again. And then it's a simulated course where you move from the right seat to the left seat. And you practice, you do a skill test as well, and then you go out and you do line training for maybe a month in the left-hand seat together with the line training captain. And normally there's several kind of stage exams as you do, and then at the end you have your final command check, and if you're successful with that, you will get your command. This How long it takes depends on the airline. If you're in an airline that is rapidly expanding, you might get your command quick. If you're in an airline that is not expanding, it might take you 10, 15 years. So it's a huge difference between different airlines. Okay, so more than Mustafa Hashimi, what do you think about Air Force training to become commercial pilot? I've talked about this in some of my live streams before. I think that that you should not go into becoming a military pilot with this. It's First of all, you are going to be bonded with the military for normally 5 to 10 years, and it's hard work, and you are putting your life at risk, and you should be doing that because you want to serve your country, not because you want, the end game is to become a commercial pilot. There are easier ways to do that. However, the training that you will get is going to be absolutely excellent, obviously, but I don't think that you should be going into the military just because you want to become a commercial pilot. All right. Hey, Bootleg Bernie. Good to see you here. All right. There's loads and loads of terms that I did not understand in that sentence, Bootleg. We'll see if you come up with something else. So I'm just going to take the last few questions here now, guys, because I've been on this for almost an hour. So Andrei Nikuta, hi. Can you tell me something about the German DLR test? Apparently it's a requirement for Eurowings. Well, a DLR test is one of those tests that I'm talking about. It's a pilot aptitude test. What the exact test is for German wings, I don't know, but you can expect it to be some psychometric testing of your capacity to do two things simultaneously. Your logical thinking, probably some maths is going to be involved, and probably some stress tests as well. There are, if you go out to Peeperoon or something, you will probably get a lot of information about exactly what you can expect. However, you might be a little bit careful with what people are saying there, because it's not always people who knows what they're talking about. So I would just go out, practice some general aptitude tests that are available from certain applications and things like that, and then just make sure that you're well rested before you go to do the aptitude test. Sub-Zero, Mentor pilot, what is the procedure if you land or take off from the wrong runway, and will you lose your job? Yeah, well, that's a fairly serious thing to do. There's no like, yes, you will lose your job, or no, you won't lose your job. It's all going to be depending on what the circumstances are. There's going to be an investigation. You are most likely going to be grounded while you're waiting for that investigation. And if it's due to gross negligence, as in if you haven't followed the SOPs, so you've been slacking or not paying attention and stuff, then you might have a problem. But if it's due to some kind of human error, maybe air traffic control was not clear when they gave you the clearance or something like that, then you might come away with nothing happening. So it's all depending on what the circumstances are. But landing or taking off from a wrong runway is a really serious thing, so you can expect it to be wildly investigated. Okay, guys, one more question and then I will go for the evening. Let's see. Okay, there's so many questions here now. I'm trying to choose a good one. George Comer, what is pay to fly? All right, so pay to fly is a horrendous thing that that some flight schools and some airlines are doing, where you, after your training is complete, you can pay money to work as a first officer in order to gain hours towards looking for a job. Now, that is something that I hope will disappear completely, because you should always be paid. You should always be employed, and you should be paid for the work that you do. You should not have to pay to work to get working experience. But that is what pay to fly is. You might pay an airline to fly 500 hours, for example. It might cost X amount of euros, and you'll be working those 500 hours just like a normal first officer. And then once those 500 hours are over, then you'll be replaced with someone else who's paying for the same job. And it's a monstrosity. I don't think that it should exist, and I'm standing for that point. So that's it, guys. As always, I hope that you liked the live stream. I am sorry about the initial problems that we had, but keep interacting with the channel. I will be launching some quite great material coming up very soon during the weekend, and hopefully the Mentour Aviation app will be released this weekend. If not, it's going to be about midway week next week. And I'm going to need all of your help. When that happens, I'm going to need all of your help to spread the word to your aviation friends. All right? All of your friends out there that you think is going to be interested in it. It's a free app, so they will not lose anything by downloading it, and check it out. And I'm going to need all of you, my core viewers that are here now, to go in, get the app, and go into App Store and grade it, okay? Because the better it's graded and the more it's graded, the easier it will be for me to spread the word about it to more aviation enthusiasts out there. So, I'm going to need your help with this. I really hope that you will help me. And for now, have a fantastic evening or morning or wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.